So greetings and salutations, Sister Sonia Sanchez. How are you, my sister?
Thank you, my dear sister. Greetings to you also, too. It's so good seeing you. You look so beautiful, right?
Oh, you. I am trying to step into your footsteps, and I know you just had a birthday
Yes,
earlier this month.
yes, September 9th, 9/9. I just turned 86.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, growing up, you were always my idol. I mean, I was an inspiring poet back then in college, I guess you could say. And, I knew all of your stuff. I used to just read and recite and all like that. And when I wrote my first book, which was a children's book back in the day, Shining Legacy, about famous Black heroes and heroines, I actually wrote to you and asked if you would write a blurb for the back of my book, and you did. I'm just going to remind you what you said back then. You said, new creativity from a new author, sounding an alarm for unity, love, power, read and be renewed. Welcome, Nkechi, to the circle of poets. Sonia Sanchez. I said, ow!
Whoa.
That was 1983, Sonia.
Wow, can you imagine that? Oh,
I
my.
mean, you were at the height. I mean, well, actually, maybe it wasn't the height then. It was probably beginning to decline, though, because the height, I guess, of the Black arts movement was the 60s and 70s. Tell a little bit about, your role in terms of the Black arts movement and inspiring young sisters like me to have some consciousness in our head. Do you have any reflection you want to give to us?
Okay, one reflection is this. That the only book that was on the Black arts was the book that Larry Neal and brother, oh gosh, I can't believe it, that I'm actually brother Larry Neal and what is the what?
Mary Baraka?
Brother Larry Neal and Mungu, um, um,
Baraka, maybe?
poet, Amiri Baraka.
Mary Baraka, yeah, okay.
Oh, this humidity thing, gets my head all messed up. But and this right here is a book called SOS, Calling All Black People, a Black Arts Movement reader. And in here, we talk about, we honor our dear brother Baraka in terms of what happened, what this was all about. But I just want to remind you of one thing, that that one of the things that some people said about it was that one of the people who said something about it was Grace Boggs, and about revolution, the great Grace Boggs in Detroit. She said, my revolution is to share our beauty and resistance and history, our successes and our failures, exits and entrances, to make, as Grace Boggs said, space for our souls, to rescue us from the tyranny of racism, sexism, homophobia, poverty, elitism, class and racial and economic poverty. That's what we were doing. That is what we were about at that point. Like Jimmy Baldwin said, for while the tale of how we suffer and how we are delighted and how we may triumph is never new, it must always be heard. There isn't any other tale to tell. It's the only light we've got in all this darkness. And the point is that what we were doing is that we were bringing the light of our history to the world, because it would be very hard for a lot of people to think that, gee, you people must have always known about your enslavement. But we didn't know anything about our enslavement. No one talked about it. No one talked about that we had been enslaved in America. But let me just read the beginning of this book, SOS, Calling All Black People, edited by John Bracy Jr., Sonia Sanchez, and James Smethurst. Let me just read you this.
Yes.
The Black Arts Movement, BAM, was coined by the poet, playwright, critic, and political activist Larry Neal for the outpouring of politically engaged African-American art from the mid-1960s to the late 1970s, which Neal described as the sister of the Black Power concept. BAM encompassed a wide range of ideological and aesthetic stances. Nonetheless, like the Black Power movement, all strands of BAM were generally united by a belief in the need for personal and social transformation of African Americans to determine their own, you hear that? To determine their own political and cultural destiny, and by a sense that the movement was part of an international struggle against colonialism, neocolonialism, and racism. And that is so important. That's what this book is all about. We talk about what happened. And one of the things that we say simply is that one of the ironies in tracing the origins of the Black arts movement of the late 1960s is that two of its most important catalysts, Malcolm X and John Coltrane, died before it came to fruition, reflected in their significant presence in the literary and visual works that were to follow. It would be difficult to overestimate the two men's roles in setting both the political and the cultural agenda that made BAM such a potent force in the Black power and Black liberation movement. And that's what you want us to understand at some point, you know, that Malcolm and Coltrane came to be seen as the twin pillars of the new outlook and attitude that gained full experience in the Black arts movement. Coltrane dismantling the foundations of Western music while simultaneously producing beautiful and moving words outside of its constraints, demonstrated that a new world was possible. Malcolm's words made explicit the critique implicit in Coltrane's music, and I quote, "Do you want to integrate in a burning house? Do you want to integrate into a burning house? Do you want human rights or civil rights?" And he constantly reminded his listeners that Europeans and people of European descent were a small minority of the global population.
Wow.
And
yes, I love it. I don't even know this book, SOS. When did this come out? I don't even know this one.
This one came out at least 3 or at most now by now 4 years. It comes out of University Press, right? Amherst, Massachusetts. And the year that it came out was at most, it was at most, here we go, copyright 2014. So you're talking about 6 years ago already.
That's recent compared to your longevity in this movement. And you talk about Coltrane and Malcolm X, and I know Malcolm X was the inspiration for Brother Mario Baddelli. I know that we back during those times I helped to get Brother Mario out of prison. I know that you were a colleague, you know, of his as well. I know that with the reparations movement, we sat in many, many meetings of the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America back in the day. Do you want to reflect on anything along those lines? Part of that struggle?
When we talk about reparations, I always say anytime we talk about reparations, we should stop and remember Queen Mother Moore, because Queen Mother Moore brought to the fruition, you know, the idea of reparations. I remember being on, in New York City, and she got up on stage and she talked about reparations. And I remember she came off the stage and I said to her, "What reparations? What are reparations?" And she began to talk about how this country owed reparations to all the Black folks, you know, here in this place called America. But this was a beautiful woman, you know, this woman who talked about her experience in America with trying to free Black men in the South who were being sentenced to death and dying, coming north and working with Brother Malcolm, teaching Brother Malcolm, working with the CP party, trying to tell people exactly who we were and how important we were. And one of the things she said, I remember on summer afternoon in a place called New York City, and she got up on the stage and she said, "Reparations, we need reparations," and the whole audience roared. And I sat there so young, not understanding what reparations happened to have been about. And she began to talk about what was owed us as a former enslaved people in America, and what was owed us so we could reach the power that we should have reached. But the great thing about her is that she had a place. Remember the place that she had, and she would go every summer, my sister?
Yeah. Upstate New York, yeah.
New York, and we would go up there in the summer, and she would have people in, and she would begin to train them and talk to them about how we had to work for reparations in America. She was a great force, and she influenced all the Brother Obedeling,
Yes.
Brother Akbar, all the brothers though, who were very much involved with a movement, whatever, that she came with information. She came with the idea of who we are. And she told Black women who you are. She says, simply, you are an African. Ain't that something, and people
Yeah. And
thought,
she told me
am
to,
I African? I'm a Negro, right? And she says, you're not a Negro, you are this African, you come from a great, great land, and you are African. You're not, I don't even like using the word Black, but you are an African, that's what you are. And this woman who dressed her head, remember all the beautiful head wraps she would wear, and she made us begin to understand that we too could look as beautiful as she, but she also made us understand the power that we had as African American, that we were a powerful people, that we needed to organize, that we needed to make America look at us in no uncertain terms and give back to us what was owed to us. And that was a beautiful, and she brought up names that we never even knew about, and she made us go run to the library the way Malcolm made us run to the library when he called a name out, when Brother John Henry Clark called out a name, right? When these names of people on the continent of Africa, we would go in and research them and say and talk about simply who they were. But my dear sister, what was so beautiful was that we were not just in dress, not just in hair, not just in clothing, but we were beautiful because we were dedicated and are dedicated to our people. And we took chances, did we not? We took chances with our jobs by standing up for us as a people, standing up and talking about our history, standing up and calling people's names out loud, that you should know this name, you should know who these people are, you should be like these people, that you are a Black woman, you are a beautiful Black woman, you are a beautiful Black man, you are this African walking on this earth, and you and I must understand that we have the power to take care of our own neighborhoods. We have the power to make sure that we move as invincible people on this earth in a place called America and in the world. And remember, Queen Mother Moore was an international woman also too.
yeah.
That, and many of the times that she went to Africa, she met with great leaders. She took people with her. She began to make us understand that we were not an isolated people. We were not just Black folks in a place called America, but we were these African people on the world stage. And she helped us, along with all the other great people we've mentioned here before us, that she helped put us African people back on a world stage. That was important because we had been taken off a world stage and given the status of just groveling people who just needed to be helped all the time. But she said, oh no, you are an African people.
Sound just like her.
Yes.
And she was a Garveyite, and she passed that tradition, on. She's one of the people that I dedicated, one of the ancestors I dedicated my book to. And this is the new book, the memoir, Black Power, Black Lawyer. And I am blessed that for the hard copy of the book, you wrote a blurb for that book as well. I'm just going to share it with everybody. Nkechi Taifa's vivid memoir is both easygoing and explosive, written with sass and candor. A captivating book, remarkably notable for today's times. And we are in some times today, Sonia, aren't we?
Yes, we are, my sister. We are, and the most important thing I think we must learn from this time is how we must come together, as African people, and how we must come together as progressive people, and how we must reach out to people who have the same ideas that we have, right? And so we can change the things here in this country, in America. And one of the things we must say to people is that we've seen these young people on television go out into the world, move in the world, challenge you know, the idea of the brutality of police, the brutality of a country that will keep people oppressed and suppressed in the way that this country has done. And so therefore, one of the things we see and understand that there is a movement. Many people think that we did not move with other people, you know, in the 60s. You and I understand that, you know, we also opened up to anyone who was progressive, right? You know, we said, come and work with us, help change America. If we change America, we change the world also too. So that is the beauty. That is the beauty of all of us during those times, that we were part of organizations, we supported organizations that were progressive in America. And that was so important for all of us.
So, Sister Sonia, I want to thank you so very much for coming to my opening launch of my new memoir. I just want to say that your collection, We Are Bad People, I just love that. One of the children's books you wrote a long, long time ago, A Sound Investment, that really was about your twins or whatever. It just, thank you
Right.
for everything, for your phenomenal life. I walk in your footsteps. I've learned so much, just as so many other sisters in my generation learned so much from you as well. I just want to say, Asante Sana Madasi, and thank you very much. We love you.
Thank you. It's honor to you too, my sister. Keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you so very much.
Mhm.